Do you have a collection of films and videotape sitting in your attic, basement, hall closet, or a box somewhere that are being lost to time? Creative artists can transfer your 8mm, Super 8mm, and 16mm films, as well as converting your VHS, CVHS, 8mm, and mini DV to DVD. Preserve your family's video history for the generations to come. Creative Artists, 1113 West Spring Street, Monroe, 770-267-7368.
Hello and welcome to the Monroe Art Guild. I am Brian Hardman. I'm the director here, and I just wanted to welcome you to the month of June and our activities. The first show that we have is Different Strokes with Donna England and Sarah England being featured. They're a mother and daughter duo, and they're showcasing their artwork inside our gallery space. Now, that show will be up through June the 29th. We have the opening reception on Saturday, June the 15th. And then the work will be up Tuesdays through Friday from 10 until 5, and then also on Saturdays from 11 until 2. Now also during the month of June we have summer art camps for ages 5 through 8, 9 through 12, and 13 through 17. So if you have a youngster that you want to have be creative this summer for a week, just feel free to give me a call or check out our website, monroeartguild.org. and you'll be able to see our classes and the list of dates and times. Because we have 12 different sessions going on this entire summer, June and July. And we have the cost is $95, and that covers the materials and also your time here. So we either have a 9 until noon session or a 1 to 4 session. That sort of depends on what time and age group the children are. But also we have various shows going on the rest of the year. We have a call for artists and call for entries for artists for our summer member show, which is July and August. And we have those dates beginning, I believe, July the 11th through August 24th. And then we have the opening reception the last Saturday of July, which I want to say is the 25th maybe. But that reception is from 5 until 7. So if you are an artist in the area, it's our summer member show, so you can become a member for as little as $35 for the year, and then submit up to 3 pieces of your artwork for $30 or $35, depending on when you turn things in. Because June the 15th is our cutoff date, so it more likely would be $35 for you. But if it's your first time you're joining, just mention that you've seen this ad on TV, you'll get it in for $30. But I also wanted to mention that we have several other shows going on this year. We have a, after the summer member show, there is the alternative processing photography show, which will be really cool. It'll feature everything from tintypes to pinhole cameras and things that are not regular film and things that are not digital, but that are still being used today. And the pinhole and the tintype are techniques for photography that were used probably about 100, 150 years ago, and we have several artists in this area that are in this region actually that are beginning to reintroduce that as a photography outlet again. So that's a very great show to be part of and come and see. Then also we have the Abandoned Rural America show, which is a touring show. It's a collection of pieces from various artists that has also been at the Stephen Thomas Museum, and that is actually this month somewhere in North Georgia in the Salty-Nakuchi area. So if you're up in the mountains, feel free to check out that show, but then we're going to have it too in the months of November and December. So those are some of our shows going on. With art talks, we have them throughout this year. We have the next one coming up on the 27th of June, and that is with Digital Art Studio. They are a company that makes reproductions of your original art. So once again, if you're an artist and you want to have prints of your work made, come out for this art talk, get to know how the process is done, what all is involved with that, and then just sort of see if that's something you're interested in. Once again, it's free and open to the public. But we'll also have later on in the year different art talks featuring Jeff Lott later on in November using winter arrangements. We'll have Dale Strickland help out with interior decorating, and then we will have Noreen Morrison with a rug cooking art talk and talk about the art of rug cooking. So those are our art talks. And then we also have classes and workshops in everything from painting to pottery to sculpture to we're looking at decorative finishes like distressing, stenciling, faux finishing. And then if there's a workshop that you want to have us hold and host, send me an email at monroeartguild@hotmail.com. Just say, Brian, I think this is a wonderful idea for a workshop, and I have a few friends that want to do that. And I'll be able to see if I can network through my artists here and see if we can have that workshop happen. We also do have knitting. We're doing another I believe it's a 6-part series of knitting, where artist Kia Kuhn is having lessons here at the Art Guild. And we've had a great turnout with that. We actually have 2 of our art camp sessions are with knitting, so that youngsters from ages 9 through 17 can begin learning how to knit. So those are just a few things that we have going on. We still have hopes to do a cemetery tour in October during the Fall Fest time period, which is the 3rd Saturday in October. And then usually the first full weekend in December is when we have our tour of homes. So that is what I want to mention for the Art Guild. Now, I also want to mention, since I'm also the director of the Music Guild, there is the Independence Day concert coming up the last Sunday of June, which is also the Sunday before the 4th of July, and that will be June 30th. And that is going to feature the Yargo Community Concert Band, and then we're also going to have a choir perform. And that will be at the Lighthouse World Outreach Center, which is off of Jean Bell Road, which is right off of Church Street. So if you're able to make it, the setup time will be very similar to the way we've done things in years past. You can bring your food and table decorations and those kind of things, and set them up within the gymnasium part of the World Outreach Center. And the setup time is 6 o'clock for the audience to do that. And then at 6:30 the concert will begin. And once again, the Music Guild provides this as an outlet free of charge, so anyone from the community is welcome to attend that concert, and we'll be excited to see you. So, and also just a little plug for On Stage real quick. I know they're doing also summer art camps, summer theater camps at their place, so you may want to check out what they're doing. And then I know I've talked to Connie New at the McDaniel Tishner House, and they also have camps going on, I believe during the month of July. But please feel free to check out what we have going on here in Monroe and in Walton County, and thank you for supporting the arts. And if you'd like to, just come on, stop by. I'll give you a tour of the building, or you can look at our place here in our main gallery show. And also we have a gift shop, so if you're looking for something for an out-of-town guest or looking for something special, we have artwork priced from $3 to $300 in our gift shop. So thanks a lot for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hello, I'm Donna England, and this is my watercolor paintings. I want to talk to you a minute about the different techniques that I use. Watercolor is very versatile. A lot of people find it very challenging, and it can be difficult, but once you learn how to control it and know what it's going to do when you do certain things, it's much easier to work with. This technique was drawn on the watercolor paper, and then I had certain areas that I knew I wanted to stay white and light colored, so I masked that out with a certain kind of product that you can buy, which kind of sticks to it. And then after the mask dries, you can pour, and that's what I did in this particular instance. I poured yellows and blues and let colors mix, and some reds in there. It gave it an overall unity by doing that, but it also, the colors are very good colors, complementary colors. So I poured one color and then let that dry, and then I poured another color, and then after all the colors were poured, I pulled off the masked areas and with a rubber cement pickup, and then those areas stay white, and then I decided whether I would put a little color on those white areas or or just leave it white, which I do like to do in watercolor. See, leave some white areas of the paper white. This is good contrast. A lot of detail was put in after that was done. And these are locks that were on a cable spread across the river, along the river in Italy. And the guide said that those were symbolizing eternal love. So a lot of people had come and scratched their names on the locks before they put them on the cable, or put forever or hold on, or whatever kind of note they wanted to give to their soulmate. So I was very interested by just why that was done and the composition that would make. So that's why I did that. This is another picture from Italy. I took the photographs when my husband and I traveled there. And of course, Venice is a very often photographed and painted subject, but it's just so beautiful. I was just couldn't wait to get home and paint. This is a different technique where you tear handmade papers. I buy these papers, and some of them have patterns, some of them have different textures on them, and I paint those papers, the colors that I'm going to use in the painting, and then I glue them after they've been painted and dried. I glue them on here, and then wait for that to dry. The composition continues. I usually start at the top or the bottom and continue all the way up. And then after it's all glued down, I add more detail with watercolor. But I love the texture and the dimension that you can get by using these papers. I just love this technique. It's time consuming and a little tedious, I have to say, but I love the results, so I continue doing that. I just really like, it's kind of unique, and I guess that's why I like it. This is another painting where I mask out where the snow would be, like I did in the previous painting, and waited until the end to add the detail into the tree branches. But in this way, I could keep the branches and the snow free of color while pouring paint on these areas up here. So it's not just a dark, shadowy area. I have purples and pinks and greens in there. I just think just enlivens the painting. I love this picture. It's one of my most recent ones. This is just straight watercolor. I don't have any fancy techniques used in this. I love the street scene. It was a photo picture that I took from a Caribbean cruise, and I just love the boys going down the sidewalk on the bicycles and looking down the street. It kind of reminds me of New Orleans, even though it is in the Caribbean. These particular ladies this is another mask. I masked this out before I poured this. Then I came back and put in the details. I also used tea bags in these areas that I steeped in hot water and just left on the painting until they dried to give this texture here and here and down here. There's some salt that I used on this, which my daughter also used in some of her paintings over here, where you pour a little salt on the wet watercolor and it absorbs the paint and makes little stipple effects depending on the size of the salt that you use. You can use just table salt, or you can use kosher salt, which is larger, but it leaves a nice texture to the painting. I love these two. I love the colors. They go together. They hang in the same room in the house, which is this color wall. But I love these colors. They make me happy. This, again, is just straight watercolor, no fancy techniques. This is a little city outside of Venice, still on the water though, Verano, Italy. I like slices of life, real life from different areas, so that's why it's just hanging laundry and just their everyday life here on a beautiful setting with the boats just parked like cars right outside their homes. Color is I just paint in different areas color without I hadn't even decided on my subject matter at the time. I just put the colors that I wanted on the page, and then I came back after that dried and decided what it most looked like to me. Did I see anything in the various shapes of different colors that reminded me of something else? And I saw a little face two eyes and a mouth here, just from the very start. So I decided to make that a tree, and how I made this was I just took a wet, clean brush and wiped up some of the color that I'd put down, and this is called negative painting. This is another where paper is used and glued on to the paper. This is another cord technique. The first one, it's the second one that I've ever tried, but these are friends of mine dancing in Destin right outside the restaurant which we had just left, and these are all friends of mine from the neighborhood. Technique. It is using another different sheet of watercolor, of paper actually. It's its own piece of watercolor paper, but this is paper, another piece of paper that's been wadded up. It's called rice paper. It's very thin and fragile once it becomes wet, but if you can be real gentle with it and careful, you can pat it out after you've let it sit and the wrinkles absorb the water, and you have all these nice little veins when you put watercolor wash across it, which is a thin sheet of watercolor paint, and you get these little veins, and it's great for flowers and texture in landscape. But irises were painted in.
This is Paul Mullins right here at Criswell Park. This is the Walton EMC's annual meeting. As you can see, there's a lot of activity going on out here. Three things out here. There's the jump houses and slides and crawl throughs for the kids. I think there's ice cream sandwiches, hot dogs, things like that. It's just a fun time. The temperature is just great today. A beautiful sunshiny day. It's the most people I've ever seen at one of the annual meetings. I think this will probably be a record crowd because cars are parked absolutely everywhere. So we're going to show you some clips of this annual meeting. This is Paul Mullins with Walton Entertainment.
She'll be at home sleep. She'll be at home sleep. Because she'll be at home sleep.
Bruce Williamson, a man that's highly respected all over this area here. Bruce, how are you?
Doing great, Verlin.
Tell us about your being in politics, and how it's going for you?
Well, it's been wonderful. It's been 3 years now. It seems like yesterday we were out at one of Roy's events, and I understand from him that this is the 15th year in a row that he's hosted the Republican Party barbecue, and it seems like every year there's just more and more signs. We're starting a little bit early with the signs this year because of the interest in everybody running for Congress when Congressman Paul Brown steps down next year to run for U.S. Senate.
Right, yeah. So, are you going to run for the same post you holding now?
Well, the good Lord willing, it's my intention to requalify as your state representative again next year.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, everybody I'm sure is pulling for you because like they did when you first ran. So they know they're putting a good man in office.
Well, a good man's only as good as his wonderful wife, and I've got a great one in Vicky.
Oh, yeah. And I know that you're thinking about the head in the future, that you want to do exactly as the people want you to do in order to take care of them in the area that you represent.
But I think that's one talent I bring to the table, is I've got great listening skills having been in business. And as you well know, I was in the insurance business around here for better part of 25 years, and you're not successful in any kind of service business unless you're able to listen to what people want, married against what your belief system is. And I'm blessed to really found a niche, I think, the way God can use me serve the people of my home county.
Well, Bruce, tell me, how do you feel about what's going on in Washington, D.C.?
That's a whole, I don't think we have enough videotape to cover that.
But, you know, politics are getting so out of line, and especially in Washington, D.C., not here in the state of Georgia. And so a lot of people are throwing up their arms and saying, I don't want to have anything to do with politics. I've heard that more than one time.
You know, that's the sad fact of the matter is that's your natural inclination is to say, I just don't want to have anything to do with it. But, Mr. Vernon, we've got to have something to do with it. This whole debt crisis is reaching crisis proportions. If we don't get our arms around the national debt, get some sanity back into the national policies, get back to our founding fathers' intentions, we're in deep trouble. That's why I am very active, very interested in who we send as the 10th Congressional District Congressman next time to represent the people of our area. But it's become so polarizing in Washington, D.C., whomever we send up there is going to have their hands full. It's just it's such a clash on everything.
Well, yes, it's really out of line, and people just don't trust the situation that's going on now. And it's like somebody said the other day, and I used to meet with you at a local restaurant in Monroe. Of course, I moved on down the street to another one. But the situation is, people say in Washington, D.C. is worse than being in a cow pasture, because if you don't watch it, there's a lot of BS around.
It's kind of hard to comment on that when we're sitting in a cow pasture right now.
Well,
but you're right.
Let's put it mildly. There's more BS up there on the streets than in Roy Roberts' pasture.
Well, we've got a lot of politicians here, so maybe the wind will pick up too.
In fact, I'm allergic to some of it, evidently, the way I feel right now. But I want to say thank you for the job you're doing. You're doing a great job, and you have my vote from here on out. And you have a great background because your parents were well thought of.
Well, thank you so much. Those are kind words. I really appreciate it, Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Okay. We have with us Mr. Paul Brown. People in the area are familiar with him because he was a congressman for a long, long time, and now he is running for the U.S. Senate place. And how's things going for you?
I'm just seeing a tremendous amount of enthusiasm with grassroots activists and people all across the state of Georgia, because they know that I've been in the trenches working to stop out-of-control spending. Both parties are guilty of spending money we don't have. We have to live within our means. We have to balance our budget. We have to get our economy going and start creating jobs. And that's what I've been doing for 6 years now in the U.S. House of Representatives. And people understand that they need a leader in the U.S. Senate that's going to stand strong to stop this growth of government that both parties are guilty of doing, and that's exactly what I've been doing, and that's what I'll do in the U.S. Senate.
Well, I've been reading a lot about you and the different places that you have been in the past few weeks, and You are doing a lot of traveling in order to let the people know exactly what you stand for.
Absolutely. In fact, I invite people to go on my website, paulbrown.com, is PAULBROUN.com, and they can check me out. They can be a friend on Facebook. They can sign up for email newsletters. They can donate, and they can also volunteer for our campaign. We're just developing a grassroots army all across this state to take our nation back from the politicians in Washington. That's what's critical. We've got to balance our budget. We've got to stop spending money that we don't have and get this economy going, and that's exactly what I've been doing. That's what I'll do as the U.S. Senator.
And you're running in the Zaxby-Chambliss program, well, and not
Right.
the program, but his particular area
Right.
as a U.S. Senator from the state of Georgia.
Yeah,
And
that's correct.
You and the other senator will make a good pair.
Well, Johnny Isaacson has been a friend for a long time, and so has Saxby. I wish him well in his retirement, and I'm looking forward to being in that position so that we can stop this out-of-control spending. It's absolutely critical.
Well, a lot of other things people don't like is going on in Washington.
Well, absolutely. In fact, if you look at what's going on with the IRS scandal with Benghazi and also this media scandal with AP and CBS, all of that is indicative of a big bloated government that's out of control. It just has to stop. We have to shrink Washington so America can get bigger. We have to leave dollars in the pockets of American citizens as well as family businesses so we can start creating a stronger economy and create jobs here in America, and that's what I've been fighting for ever since I've been there. In the Senate, I'll have a greater wherewithal to be able to stop the out-of-control spending because the rules are different there, and that's the reason I'm running for the U.S. Senate. I'm fighting for freedom. I'm fighting for economic sustainability, and we're not on a course right now that is sustainable economically. We've got to stop the spending.
Well, Mr. Brand, a few interviews ago, we had a man on who's a retired military man, and he was telling me how the situation now in Washington, D.C. is affecting the military.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I'm in the Navy Reserve today. I went to Afghanistan. I was deployed over there last year. The reason I got back in the Navy Reserve is because I'm a Marine, and actually national defense, national security is what we should be spending money on instead of a big bloated federal Department of Education. We're spending $70 billion a year almost of taxpayers' hard-earned money on a Department of Education. The average salary is $102,000 a year for the bureaucrats, fat cat bureaucrats that have never taught a child to read. Let's close down the Department of Education totally. Let's leave those dollars here in Georgia. Let's get the government shackles off teachers so that they can teach, so we can have a world-class education system here in Georgia. And while we're at it, let's close down the EPA also. Let's get rid of it. We've got to be good stewards of our environment, but we should not be paying those bureaucrats these bloated salaries that are killing jobs and hurting our economy today. We've got to shrink the size of government, stop the spending, balance our budget, and get our economy going. And that's what I'll do as a U.S. Senator. That's what I've been working on in the House, but in the Senate, I'll be able to do that in a greater fashion because the rules are different.
And what would you like to tell the people out there, the voters out there that's listening to and watching this program on television about what else you plan to do? You're not a do-nothing senator, you'll be a do-something for somebody senator.
That's right. I'm fighting for liberty. I'm fighting to put this country back on the right track, and I'm asking people all over Georgia to come and volunteer for our race. Go on paulbrown.com, PAULBROUN.com. Donate, volunteer, sign up for email newsletters. There's a link for my Facebook page. Be a friend on Facebook. Also follow me on Twitter. There's a link there too. So go on paulbrown.com and become part of this army, fighting for liberty, fighting to take our country back, fighting to stop this out-of-control spending so we'll have a great nation again that's economically secure. paulbrown.com, PAULBROUN.com.
In private life, somebody told me that you were a medical doctor.
I'm a medical doctor. We've got to repeal Obamacare. I've got a bill to do that. I've got the strongest bill to balance our budget. It's the Balanced Budget Amendment of the Constitution. I've got a jobs bill that would create millions of new jobs here in America. I need to get to the Senate so we can get those things passed. So that's the reason people need to get me there. I've been very active legislatively, more active than anybody else out of our delegation. And I'm the only candidate who's an original intent constitutionalist, who's been in the trenches fighting to stop the out-of-control spending. It has to stop, and that's what I'm all about. Help me get there so we can stop the spending and return power and liberty back to the people of this country.
Well, Mr. Brown, also, I would like to tell you there's in a city nearby here, I know of 2 doctors that have actually sold out their office in order to get out of the medical profession because of so many rules and regulations.
We're going to see more and more of that as long as Obamacare stays in place. My Patient Option Act would stop that process. Doctors could practice medicine without the federal government telling them when patients need to can go in the hospital or not, what kind of treatment to give. So doctors and patients will be in control of their healthcare decisions. That's what my Patient Option Act will do. It will make healthcare cheaper for all Americans. It will provide coverage for everybody in this country, and it's going to save Medicare from going broke. That's the kind of policy that I've been promoting. That's the kind of policy we need to put in place. That's the reason I need to get to the Senate, so we can get that kind of policy passed into law. That's the reason folks need to vote for me, need to volunteer and come help me be the U.S. Senator so we can take America back and stop the spending.
That's the main thing, take America back.
That's right, we've got to take America back.
Right.
For freedom.
Right. And Mr. Brown, I appreciate you coming up to our area today and talking to us. And anything else you would like to say?
Well, this is my area. I have Walton County as part of my congressional district, so this is home, but so is Georgia.
Right.
So paulbrown.com. We'll fight for liberty and take America back. Stop the out-of-control spending that both parties are guilty of doing.
And spell that last name again for us.
BROUN, paulbrown.com.
Okay, so people, you want to remember that. And again, thank you for coming up and talking to us.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Yes, good to
Please
see you.
vote for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And please pray for me.
All right, we have Mike Collins here, and he's running for the Congress seat, a candidate for Congress. And tell us about what you are running and what you are qualified to do if elected, and everything in that order.
Well, I'm running for the 10th District Congress. I'm a small businessman from Jackson, Georgia. I've owned and operated my own business now for 25 years.
Yes, sir.
Me and my wife, we're second generation in the trucking business down there.
Yes.
And looking to take that business experience and common sense to Washington to get some of these high taxes and government regulations off our back and get them out of our back pockets.
Well, you'll go right along with Mr. Paul Brown, the man we talked to prior to this interview with you. He's the same way. So we need people like you and Mr. Brown up there in order to get all of this, I would say, crooked situations that are going on up there and get it straightened out and put the politics back where they should be.
Well, you're right. You know, Congress is supposed to be a statesman's job. You're supposed to go up there to serve the constituency and serve your country. And I think that's a lot of what we've gotten away from. We've gotten into where it's politics as usual, and it's go along and get along, and that's not going to work anymore. You know, you've got, I've got 2 young boys. Well, they're not young anymore, they're 20, and they're in college. And they'll be getting out of college here, hopefully, good Lord willing, another year and a half, and they're going to have something to do. And I am just scared to death that they could not go into the same business that I did or into business like I did. It's not available. And we've got to stop things like that.
Well, if you can get elected, I know that people will say, well, yes, we do need somebody that will do what's supposed to be done up there instead of just guesswork.
Well, you know, sir, I'm not a professional politician. I've been in small business all my life, and I believe that qualifies me from being in the trenches and on the front line of this thing and having to deal directly with all of these government regulations and from the taxes, just like this new Obamacare coming out. You know, we're already dealing with stuff like that, and with that type of experience and the fact that I believe in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and you don't have to worry about me compromising on that, then we'll send somebody up there that can help take care of these problems.
Okay, all right. So you want people to vote for you when you see the name on the ballot, right?
Yes, sir. Mike Collins.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you walking up to the area where we are, and we appreciate you talking to us about what you plan to do, and if elected, that you will do. And thank you very much.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the support and all the votes out there. And we'll be out and about. You can, if you need more information about us, our website is overhauldc.com, and we'll be glad to sign you up for updates or get your questions answered. Just call us or email us or look us up when we're out and about in the community. Be glad to talk to you.
Give us that email again.
Our website is overhauldc.com, and we're on Facebook. You just look us up at Mike Collins, Georgia. Mike Collins, GA.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you.
Good to meet you.
Yes,
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir. We're talking with Lieutenant Governor, State of Georgia, Casey Cagle, and he is a man that's well known because he lives nearby up in Hall County, and he is doing a great job as the Lieutenant Governor of this state of Georgia. And how's things been with you?
Well, things are going very, very well. It's great to be back in Walton County, and wonderful barbecue and a phenomenal turnout here tonight. And obviously, the state of Georgia is doing very, very well. We've had, a real focus on economic development. We've seen great success, not only with Caterpillar, but also with Baxter's as well. This community is going to benefit greatly as a result of that. And we're continuing to make Georgia the most economically viable state in the nation to do business in. So this has been a tough economic time, but we've got to grow our way out of it, and we're certainly focused in doing that.
Okay, well, it's really, Georgia got a great deal whenever they got Governor Deal.
Well, the governor's doing a great job.
That's right.
The governor deal has really been committed to economic development and really a pro-business environment for the state of Georgia, which is so needed. And we're very, very blessed and very excited that he's there.
Right. Well, tell me about what's going on in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Department of the state of Georgia, and the things that you're doing now other than bringing industry in order to help people.
Well, certainly economic development is really high on our priority in terms of job creation, recognizing that government doesn't create jobs, but the private sector does, and government creates the right circumstances, the right environment for those jobs to be created. But my big focus is around education, making, really changing the one-size-fits-all model and really creating a pathways for kids to get on that really does allow for them to fulfill not only their dreams, but ultimately be an economic engine for the state of Georgia. We're doing that through our charter school systems and our college and career academies. Both of those we're having great success with. And I launched a new initiative this year called Invest Georgia, which really is about trying to foster that new innovation that's coming out of our research institutions, where they can have a business model that goes forward, and we have the venture capital that comes really to wrap them up and create that ecosystem that allows them to maybe be the next Google or Microsoft or whatever the case may be.
Well, I know that you and the governor are really disturbed over the situation of the testing of the school children in this state.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, education is so critical to our long-term success as a state. And one of the great problems we have is, protecting the integrity of teachers as well as administrators, and making sure, that not only school systems are meeting accreditation, but more importantly, they are providing a world-class educational system. And when you have what's happened in the city of Atlanta, what's happened also in DeKalb, obviously those issues are great concerns to us, and we're taking steps to remedy those issues. And we believe that Georgia can really define itself as a world-class institution, not allowing those black eyes to get in our way, if you please.
Right, I understand. Well, how do you plan to handle the situation of bringing teachers up to date every year in the Department of Education, to bring them up to date so that they will be really qualified. That's another thing that's happened in the two counties you're talking about. A lot of the teachers were not qualified, and that's a concern of a lot of people, that the teachers are not qualified because they are not critiqued enough.
Well, I think it's a twofold. I think it's very problematic to try to fault all teachers. I mean, we've got wonderful teachers,
Yes,
and
we have.
it's a great profession, and one that, you know, they commit an enormous amount of their time and energy to helping our kids fulfill their success in life. And you know, I don't think you can take and use a broad stroke to say all teachers. The challenge is that most teachers feel like their hands are tied in the schoolroom, and it's really because of so much bureaucracy, so many state and federal mandates that come down, and that's where our charter system idea really has had great success. Is it really unties the hands of teachers and gives them the ability to not only define what's an educational success for their community, but ultimately for the student. And that's what we're really focused on looking forward. And we are really creating and turning out wonderful teachers in our school systems. The challenge is the bureaucracy and this one-size-fits-all model, and we need innovation. We need enthusiasm and excitement, and that's where breaking down these silos and the barriers are really making a difference.
Well, being from Gainesville, Georgia, I wanted to make sure that I ask you this question.
Sure.
Now, of course, Gainesville, Georgia, Hall County is chicken capital
That's
of
right.
the area.
Right.
Is it still against the law to eat chicken in Gainesville and Hall County with a fork?
Well, you're exactly right. It is, and we're very proud of that tradition, I might add. The Southern traditions that we enjoy, we're very, very proud of. And certainly Gainesville being the poultry capital of the world is something very, very important to us. And it's a great community, and it's a very diverse economy now. Brenau University, Riverside, so many great things that are going on up there. But the same is true right here in Walton County, I tell you. I mean, great things are happening and wonderful things are in store.
Right. Well, I understand the school in Dahlonega is really a full college now.
Well, you're right. The University of North Georgia has actually merged with Gainesville College, and now they're one. And it creates a lot more synergy and an enormous amount of additional degrees that will be offered on the Gainesville campus. And we see that as a very positive sign.
Well, I have 4 nieces and nephews who will be in school up at Dahlonega for the next term.
They'll do well, I'll tell you.
They're doing well.
Yeah, that's a wonderful institution providing a very unique niche for our state, particularly in the allied health fields. They're really excelling. They've got a wonderful military background, as you well know. But they're going to continue to reach out. They've got a campus in Oconee, a neighboring community here, and we're seeing great successes out of both those.
I also have a nephew. He went to school at North Georgia, and he was in the military. Now he's a lieutenant colonel.
Well, and most people don't realize that the military part of the institution is really renowned, and we're very proud of what they bring, and not only in terms of them moving forward, but also obviously just on the heels of Memorial Day, what it means for them to serve our community and be willing to make the sacrifice that they make.
Right. Well, Casey, it's really good to see you. Let me say again, you and the governor are doing a good job up there, along with other people like Congress and the Senate for the state. So what are your plans for the future now?
Well, our plans right now are to continue to really make Georgia the most economically viable state in the nation, stay focused. We'll be running for re-election to lieutenant governor, and really it's about making sure that we're taking these great assets that we have as a state and leveraging them for great prosperity for the future. fastest growing port in the nation, the busiest airport, all those great things, research institutions. Georgia's the capital of the South. We want it to continue to be that way, and we're going to make sure it happens.
So good to talk with you today. Always good to see you because you're the same every time I see you. You're upbeat and you want to carry out what you have going for you. And a lot of people are saying, well, sometimes it gets to be a drag. Not with you.
No, you're exactly right. Well, I learned a long time ago. It's all about the future, never about the past. Right. And, we've got a lot to be thankful for. And every time we get down, just remember, somebody's got it a lot worse than we do. So let's keep after it. So great state, great opportunities, and we're going to make the most of it.
Casey Cagle, Lieutenant Governor for the state of Georgia, and a man that's really, really doing a good job. I admire you for the job you're doing.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you.
Thank you. I have with me is Karen Handel, and the fact that she is running for the U.S. Senate. Karen, how's things going for you?
They are going great. The outpouring of support across the state has just been tremendous. It really has been.
And you, of course, you're doing a lot of politicking, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. And, of course, coming up here to Roy's Farm is it's the kickoff of the season for us.
Well, it gives you a lot of enthusiasm when you walk around here, as long as you stay in a certain area, but don't get out into the pastures.
That's exactly right. Remember the one year when the horse got loose? Scared a bunch of people.
So you have several people running with you, and you have plans that are your plans and not any other candidate's plans.
Well, I think what we need in Washington is a whole lot less Washington. If we're really going to change the direction of where things are in Washington, we really need some new faces, some fresh voices on these issues. Someone like myself who has a track record of really being a fighter and standing up for what is right and being accountable to the people of Georgia and not the politics of D.C. So when it comes to reducing the budget, we have a crushing debt, and we have got to learn how to spend within our means and stop kicking the can down the road. And that is going to mean a massive overhaul of federal government. And we ought to start right at the Internal Revenue Service. They want to do audits, we'll bring them an audit right there of that department.
So, you, of course, you've been in politics before, and you decided to get on board with the U.S. Senate situation here. Tell us what qualifies you to, and why you think that you qualify as good as anybody running for that post. Tell us why you think you qualify.
Well, we need to have a fresh voice in Washington, someone who's bringing new ideas, but also someone who has a track record of being able to solve very difficult problems in difficult environments. As Fulton County Commission Chairman, there were 4 Democrats to the 3 Republicans. I had just 2 other Republican colleagues, and still I was able to balance the budget each and every year without a tax increase. I was able to get photo ID for voting implemented in our state, had to go up against the Obama Justice Department and won. Reduced the size of the Secretary of State's budget by 20%, but still streamlined operations so that we could deliver customer service in a better way to the people of Georgia. So I have a track record. The people of Georgia know that they can trust me when I make a commitment. I stick to it, and one way or the other, I find a way to deliver results, not just promises.
Karen, do you feel this country is headed in the right direction?
We're seriously off track. We are seriously off track. But even in times of great difficulty, when we have the IRS scandal, the Benghazi cover-up, infringement of our conscience, infringement on First Amendment, it is in these moments that we have our greatest opportunities. So I believe the IRS scandal is going to be the impetus to really finally drive real comprehensive tax reform. Think about it. As Americans and across the course of our history, we have always been at our very best when we face the most difficult challenges. And we'll do the same here.
So you want to help straighten it out?
Well, we're definitely going to straighten it out.
Okay.
We have no choice. The moment is now to begin to put this country back on track.
Because it's way off track.
That's right.
It's because the situation now is getting worse, worse, worse. And all of the things that are going on with the IRS, Benghazi, and other things, even the news media, they're trying to control the news media now.
That's right.
So it's really, really a bad situation for all political people concerned because they don't know what to expect.
Well, Americans have been steadily losing trust and faith in their government over the past 5 years. And it is important that we restore that trust because trust is fundamental to being able to solve big problems. And people of this country need to be able to look at their leaders and know that they are making decisions in their best interest, not in the best interest of politics or a re-election, but in the best interest of the people of this country.
Well, it seems like the politicians up there now, especially on the Democratic side, has forgotten who put them in office.
I think that's a fair statement, and if we're honest, it's happened a little on both sides of the political aisle. And what I know is that my job, if I have the privilege of being United States Senator from this great state of Georgia, is to be accountable to the people of Georgia and not to the ways of Washington, and certainly not to being reelected.
Okay, so if you get elected, you're going to carry out everything as you told us today.
I am a woman of my word.
Okay, all right, Karen. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you. I'm going to look forward to earning the vote of the people of this state.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
it's
Karen.
Delightful to see you again.
Karen Handel, thank you much.
Thank you.
And now I'm talking to a guy that I've been knowing for a long, long time. A lot of you people in the area know him too, Mr. Jody Hice. And Jody is running for Congress. Jody, it's so good to see you.
Well, it is great to see you again. It's been quite a while, but an honor to be here.
Well, thank you, thank you. Tell us about your race.
Well, I am running for the 10th district, which formerly 3 years ago I ran. At that time in the 7th district, Barrow County, Walton, Gwinnett was in the 7th district. Redistricting has changed all of that, and now we're in the 10th, which comprises 25 counties from pretty much from here to Augusta and Macon to Hamilton Mills, so a large county, but we're excited about this race.
Well, you, of course, you've been in politics a while, but you keep coming back.
Well, we have. When we ran in 2010, it was the first time we'd ever been involved in a race, and we were blessed to be able to make it into a runoff, lost in a close race then. And, a lot of experience is learned having gone through it once, and we feel prepared and really like where we are at this point.
Well, you have anything to do with the ministry now?
Yes, I'm still pastoring. I'm a pastor of the Summit in Loganville, Georgia.
Okay.
And still have a radio program that's heard every day in 6 states in the Southeast. And we deal with constitutional, moral, and religious liberties issues. So we've been in the trenches pretty much every day of our lives since 10 years ago this year when the battle with the Ten Commandments and the ACLU in Barrow County. That was a defining moment in my life.
Really, I remember it well. Eddie Elder was, of course, chairman of the Board of Commissioners. Now he's passed on.
That's right. And, that was a defining moment that changed everything in my life. And at that point, I really became aware of just how distantly removed the majority of Christians are from what's happening in our culture and in our country. And so really, pretty much every day of my life since that time has been engaging from a culture and political perspective.
I noticed, Jody, that a lot of the churches now are getting away from a Sunday evening service. Why?
Well, we're talking about elections and so forth and votes. Pretty much churches have the votes because nobody shows up on Sunday night. So,
Good reason.
That's a pretty good reason to discontinue and make some changes.
Right.
A lot of churches have began meeting in homes. It's not necessarily that they've discontinued meeting, but not meeting corporately, but more in small groups.
Okay, all right. Well, getting back to your race and the seat that you're seeking, I know that you have a wide area to cover.
It's a very wide area. Like I said, it's 25 counties. The heart of the district really, though, is still located right here in Barrow, Walton, East Gwinnett, Henry, Oconee, and Newton counties. That's the biggest portion of the district, although you can't ignore the whole thing. That's the heart and soul of it.
Well, congratulations to you, and you know that they need a good man in that particular race, and they got one with you.
Well, thank you very much, and I believe that. I'm firmly aware that this race is not about me. Our country is in desperate condition. And this is an hour, I believe, that calls for people who are not just conservative votes, but a strong voice that will stand up to, and that's where I believe I've gotten experience through standing up with the ACLU and the IRS. I just feel very equipped, and that this is a time that we need to make a stand.
Well, just about everybody we've talked to here this afternoon has mentioned the same thing.
Well, that's good. That's what we need. We need good people making those kind of commitments.
How do you feel about Washington, D.C. and the political establishment up there?
Well, it's disgusting. What's happening in Washington is inexcusable. It shouldn't be happening at all, and it is for that reason that our country is declining in every way, politically, morally, and we have got to turn this around, or we're going to lose the America that we've always known.
You can see it coming fast.
It's coming more quickly than any of us ever anticipated.
Right. A lot of people are going lacking. Nobody cares for them. And you see hungry children running around. When I was on radio, a teacher came to us and said, listen, can you help us get food for some students whenever they go home with the weekend? And she said, some of the students are taking food from other people who do not eat their meal and taking it home with them so they'll have something to eat on the weekends. That is sad.
It is sad. And there's so many instances like that. Here we're the wealthiest nation in the world, and yet we're watching more and more poverty, more and more people on food stamps across the board, and it's inexcusable. We have out-of-control spending, and it's inexcusable when 43 cents out of every dollar that we bring in is borrowed, that we spend is borrowed. It is unsustainable. We have got to stop it.
Right. Jody, good to talk with you.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to see you again.
It's a pleasure to see you. Jody Heiss, a man that has an outstanding livelihood, an outstanding character, an outstanding person wherever he is.
Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in today. We're going to show you some of the dogs and cats here that are available at the Walton County Animal Control Shelter. You know, the winter slowdown has ended and we're starting to get a lot of dogs and cats in, so we really need your help. If you come down to the shelter and want to adopt, we've got plenty of cats, especially kittens. So many kittens coming in this time of year. So we need your help to come and adopt. If you have a cat, maybe get her spayed or neutered, and that way we don't get so many in. Also, we have, as you'll see, a lot of nice dogs in. Small dogs, big dogs, purebred dogs. We do put them on our website at waltonpets.net. So you can see what's currently at the shelter. That site is kept current throughout the week. Or you can come down to the shelter Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 and see what we have available. And now we'll show you some of the dogs and cats that are here at the shelter.
Hello. It's kitten season again. We have probably about 17 kittens down here right now. They range from age 2 months to 6 months old. We have some adults. They need to get some good homes.
This is Louie. He's a 4-month-old beagle. He's a really sweet boy and he could really use a good home.
Right, we have a year-old male beagle mix. He is not neutered. He's a very sweet dog. We need some time spent with him about to learn how to walk on a leash. Just like all the rest of our animals down here, they need a good home.
This is a 2-year-old pit. She's a really sweet girl and she really likes to love on you and she could really use a good home. Come on.
It's your home, it's your dream. Radon test and keep it healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green.
Making it green is making sure the air in your home is healthy for your family to breathe. Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN. Preserve your family's health and well-being. Get your home tested. Now that's living healthy and green.
Green, green, green. It's your home, it's your dream. Radon test and keep it healthy and clean. Make it green, green, green.
To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN.